Tiffany's friends, some of her friends, and since they've contacted me, Mrs. Polka, will you friend me? And I can read their attitudes towards things, and I'm so proud of them.
She got a Kindle, and we got her a very simple one. I think it's called Kindle Paperwhite. And all it does is read books and download books from Amazon, let you read books. And she was able to get that going with one little lesson from me.
She just enjoyed so much of what it gave her that whatever little stumbling blocks or frustration she had over it weren't a big deal, because the joy it brought her to be able to see us and our lives was just, amazing.
She couldn't hold heavy books anymore. Most books she could not get in the big type that she needed now. This solved all those problems. She was gobbling up a book every other day, and really enjoying that.
Yeah, and I think that gave her the confidence.
That, I think, probably gave her the confidence that, well, maybe this is a little more complicated, but I'm doing just fine with this.
Right.
I FaceTime with her. From then on, we very seldom would talk on the phone.
The fact that she could see family from all over the country, her grandchildren, her siblings, all of them, sit there and talk with them and see them face to face, and she could actually see what they were doing, what their houses were like.
It was really fun because we don't live near each other, and one of the things that my grandmother always enjoyed was to see where we lived and what we did in our everyday life, and it was something that we could share with her over FaceTime, which we couldn't before. We only could do it through the telephone.
And she could hear it very well and didn't have to talk loud or anything.
Right.
And it was nice to just be able to see her face. In fact, it was almost like being right there talking with her.
When she would FaceTime, my kids would jump on to the FaceTime and maybe tell what they had done that day.
I don't remember her smiling as much as she did in those last few months talking to people on FaceTime. She seemed absolutely delighted with it, and that alone made it worth it. I mean, it was probably the best thing that happened to her in a few years.
Yeah.
Being able to communicate with all her family across the country that way, anytime she wanted to.
She told me that she was a gymnast in high school, and so she particularly enjoyed getting videos of my daughter doing her gymnastics.
For the fact that her in her own little world, even if she may have felt far away beforehand, how all of a sudden she felt like she was in our lives again and she was right there.
Was it an extra step for you to tape, or you were taping anyway for your kids or for posterity, these events? And so
I was taping anyways, and I was taking the pictures and I was taking the videos, and I would just take 1 extra second and upload it to Facebook.
Okay, cool.
And there it was in real time for my grandmother to take a look at.
Cool.
So.
A couple months ago, I guess this was in about January or February, we went to go visit Graham, and we, kind of thought we would go and, just make sure that she was all set with the iPad, and one of the intentions was to go help her figure it out and make sure she could get onto FaceTime and all that. And I would say within the first 10 minutes of us being there, she had like 5 people trying to FaceTime her within 10 minutes. She had a bigger social life than we did. In like a matter of 10 minutes. It was just so funny. We said, do you get all this many calls a day? And the fact is, actually she did. She said that she did. It just all happened to come in one. But she was getting lots of enjoyment out of it.
Right.
In one particular time, which was so special, they were friends that she had met who had come to Vermont to visit us. And so she would always ask how they were doing and so on. Well, they happened to be at our home that day. We put the the phone in the middle of our table, and we were sitting around the table. We must have talked. Everybody shared, and she was part of it. She was part of our gathering that day. And I know she enjoyed it so much, but our friends did too.
Yeah.
It was just so fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing technology that never could have been done before.
Yeah.
And when people are far apart like that, it's like being able to visit them face to face and talk to them in real time. People are out there just waiting for this kind of thing. And once they find it, it'll blow their mind. They would wonder why they never did it before.
Maybe once they see that this lady who was almost 98 years old be able to learn how to work an iPad and FaceTime, I think that, maybe people will say, hey, look, she did it, so can I.
I would tell her story over and over again to my patients who were similar ages, and would share how it brought her closer to us and us closer to her in our lives when, our lives are so busy and we can't always be physically with each other.
My son kept saying, Mom, I want to buy you a new computer. This is so old and outdated. And my attitude towards that was, no, I spent enough years on it at work. When this goes, I'm finished with it. It's just a toy for me now. And I think what it was, I was hesitant at the challenge because technology has moved so fast from when I first started. If you don't keep up with it, it's a huge, huge gap. And I think down deep inside, I was afraid of taking that chance. And really and truly, when I saw your iPad and I saw what your grandmother did, then I said to my son, all right, if you still want to get me a computer, get me an iPad. It doesn't look as challenging. It's this little thing here that I'm not afraid of it. I can't believe that this little item contains so much information.